Many Christians grow up hearing phrases that are very Christianese, but we don't really think about the power behind them. So I'm a Christian, been a Christian. I don't even remember when I gave my heart to the Lord. I was one of those that went up every Sunday and gave my heart to God every Sunday because I felt like I didn't do it good enough the first time. My dad's a pastor. He was a missionary. So I've grown up hearing these words like washed in the blood of the Lamb. Kind of weird if you think about it, but there's power behind these words, and I think we hear them so often sometimes that we don't realize the power behind them. So, washed in the blood of the Lamb, do we really understand that there's power in the death and resurrection of Christ, and that we actually are healed by the blood, we are forgiven by the blood? When we say these words, are we actually comprehending the power behind them? Which, it goes with your guys' sermons. Also, sanctification. Do we really understand that as we walk with the Lord, He's continually making us like His Son? That's a beautiful thing. Or do we just say it and forget the power behind it? So one of these phrases, if you will, for me, was just abiding in the vine. I heard that a lot growing up. Abide in Christ, abide in God, abide in His love. And I heard it a lot, and I wanted to do it, but I didn't know how. So God's brought me on this probably 4-year, takes me a long time to learn things, 4-year process of learning what it looks like to abide and what that means. So I realized that even in my attempts to abide, I was just striving. In my attempts to abide and rest in His love, I was still working for it, even when I was trying not to. So I'm going to look at John 15. I would like to look at the whole passage, but I'm supposed to keep it to 3, so I'm going to look at 5, 9, and 10. But let's just focus on 15:5 right now. It says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. So, I don't know if you guys know this, but in the Old Testament, the vine was actually Israel. And so, if you look at it, God is still the gardener. In the Old Testament, He was referred to as the gardener. But Israel was the vine. So when you look at it, He's asking Israel to produce fruit. And in reality, they are not meeting His expectations. They can't produce the fruit that He's asking them to produce. So when we get to the New Testament and Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches, it's a beautiful picture of the redemptive power of Jesus, the redemptive nature of Jesus. He takes the place for Israel. So He's saying, instead of you having to produce all this fruit, here, let me be your source, let me be your nutrients, let me be the thing that supplies. All you have to do is be a part of me, extend out, abide in me, and you'll produce fruit. So if you go on in verse 5, it says, if you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. So we are the branches. Fruit doesn't depend. We can't produce, I don't think you've walked around and seen a branch on the ground producing fruit apart from a vine. Doesn't happen. So really, it doesn't really depend on our power or our skill or our ability to produce the fruit. Jesus is the vine, and that is where all the nutrients comes from. That's where all of the power comes from. That's where all of our strength comes from. And God is the gardener. It says that in verse 1. And as God is our gardener, that just means that it has everything to do with His ability. It has everything to do with His power because He's the one nurturing us, taking care of us, pruning us. We really just have to be there and stay connected, and He's going to do all the work, which is a beautiful picture. So trying to do anything apart from Christ would be unproductive and exhausting. And so in 2 Corinthians 3:5, in the ESV version, it reads, not that we are sufficient in ourselves to claim anything as coming from us, but our sufficiency is found in Christ, or in God. So this is all great. And then it comes back to, okay, well, how do I abide? And that's what I've been trying to learn for the past 4 years. So if you look at John 15:9 and 10, it says, as the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I've kept my Father's commands and remain in His love. So simply put, you remain in God's love through obedience. So then, kind of brings me back to, well, if I'm trying to be obedient, then I'm just working to abide. But the cool thing is that we've already been brought near by the blood of Christ, the blood of the Lamb. We've already been completely forgiven, set free, and brought in by God's love. So technically, when we accept Christ, we are already one with Him. We're already right there. We're already connected to the vine. And now all He's saying is to stay connected, all you have to do is walk in obedience. And this doesn't mean striving, and it doesn't mean laziness. Abiding involves intentional obedience. Simple acts of, okay, Father, I'm going to listen to what you're saying today. I'm going to walk in this obedience. Because if you think about it when you're a little kid, like when you do something wrong and it's your father or your mother's love for you doesn't change, but your reaction once you do something wrong is our tendency is like shrink back or like not tell them the next thing because we're scared of what they'll do. So disobedience just puts a barrier between it. So all we have to do to abide is just to walk in obedience. I would just challenge you guys and leave you with this, that love isn't exhausting, striving is. And God's love for us, it's already done the work. All we have to do is continually be in relationship with our Father, which is the best thing that could ever happen anyways, is just being loved by the one who loves us the most. So remain in his love through obedience, and the fruit that comes from your faithfulness will not be your own, but it'll be from Christ.